Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Chapter 10. We have finished Chapter 11, in which we talked about measuring and drawing angles and problem solving with angles. Now we are moving on into more geometric shapes. So before we begin, I want to talk about a very important word that we are going to be using a lot in this chapter, the word properties. Let's think about what that means. Well, if I asked you to get a piece of paper and a pencil, and I told you have 1 minute, draw a zebra. Think about what you would draw on that piece of paper to identify it as a zebra. I would see an animal with 4 long legs, definitely stripes, 2 pointy ears, a long face. It would look kind of like a horse with stripes, right? Now, I ask you to turn the piece of paper over and draw a kangaroo. Well, now I would probably see something that was upright instead of leaned over. It would have 2 big, very strong legs and a pouch in the belly, a long, long tail. Those things that identify a kangaroo or a zebra, the pouch for the kangaroo, the stripes for the zebra, those are properties. They are things that we know identify those animals. So when we're talking about geometric shapes, we are going to be identifying them by their properties. And we will need to know a few key terms. So I have listed some of those here, and we are going to talk about them. Also, in the description down below, there's a link to a chart, and you could use that chart, refer back to it to help you as you're doing 10.1, 10.2. You can look back at it. It defines these terms and how we write them. So first, we have the word point. Point is just a specific location on a flat surface. So we identify that with just a small dot. That's a point. And we can give it a name with a letter. That's how in geometry we identify points with letters. So say A or point X, any letter you like. So points are specific individual locations on a flat surface, and they are marked with a small dot, and their name is a letter. So this would be point A. Now, a line segment is a connection between 2 points. It begins at one point and ends at another. So I have AX here. So let me draw point A down here and point X here. Now that's 2 separate locations on this flat surface, and they are going to be connected with a long, thin line that begins at one point and ends at another. And the way we write the name of this line segment is the 2 points, A and X. And above that, we draw a little line, just a little straight line, just showing that that's what is connecting them. You can also write it as XA because it can go either direction. A line segment does not have a specific direction. A ray, on the other hand, let's get 2 different points. So let's say I have point D and point F. And a ray starts at one point and then goes on and on and on and on in one direction forever. Think about a laser pointer. Have you ever seen those? Those are really cool. I like to go out onto the beach and you can shine them out and they go way out into the water and they just don't ever stop. That's what lasers do. That's what a ray is like. So it starts at one point, say F, or D, sorry, and goes through the other point, and you put an arrow at that end showing this is going on and on and on and on and on in that direction. The way we write the name for that is we would have our points, DF, and then above that, a small arrow, and it's very important that the arrow part, the point part, goes above the same point where it is in the actual ray. Now, an angle, which we talked about in chapter 11, is 2 rays connected at a point. So if we had point B and point L and point P, you have 2 rays that are connected at point B. and that forms an angle. And as we learned in chapter 11, we write the name of that by putting the little symbol for angle and then the 3 letters, L, B, P, or it can be angle P, B, L. The important thing is that B is in the middle because it is the vertex. The vertex has to be in the middle when we write the name of an angle. So today, you are going to be drawing shapes given a certain name. So I will give you a name, like if I said draw a zebra, and you would draw what it looks like. So for today, if I said draw point M, and you are going to draw point M. Or if I said draw ray XY, then you would know what to draw. So we're going to do a few practices. So to do this, you're going to need a separate sheet of paper. So I want you to pause the video. I want you to get a blank sheet of paper, printer paper, line paper, something out of your binder, something that you can practice on. And I'm going to give you a few names, and I'm going to ask you to draw them. And then I'll show you what the answer should be, and we'll see how you do. So you need a blank sheet of paper and a pencil. Go get them. So to begin, I want you to draw point M on your paper. You might need to pause the video to give yourself time to follow each instruction before you move on. Next, I want you to draw point N somewhere on the paper. Now I want you to connect them with a line segment. Draw a line segment MN. Your drawing should look something like this. Now, what's another name for line segment MN? MN can also be written as NM because line segments can go either direction. Now I want you to draw ray PQ. Pay attention to the direction of the ray, and don't forget you can pause the video if you need to take a moment. This is what ray PQ should look like. The arrow has to be above the Q because it's above the Q in the name of the ray. Now I want you to draw line JK. You know this is a line because look at the symbol above it and look at your chart. A line is identified by arrows on each end. So please draw line JK. Here's what it should look like. You have point J and point K with a line connecting them and arrows on each end. Now take a moment to examine this figure. There are several line segments here. I want you to name one of the line segments in this shape. There are several different answers you could have put here. I gave you 2 examples, line segment FE or line segment DC. You could also write these names backwards as EF or CD. And there are other answers you could have put as well. Now that we've had some practice with drawing different shapes and identifying shapes in a figure, you are going to do pages 24 and 25 in your packet. It will give you some practice with using these terms. Don't forget that there's the chart and the link down below if you need to refer to something to help you remember what a point is or what a line segment is. You can look at that chart, and as always, you can post questions in the comments down below. See you at the next lesson.